Create a life that feels good on the inside, not just one that looks good on the outside. There is a quiet but profound difference between a life that appears successful and a life that is genuinely fulfilling. In the modern world, much of our attention is directed toward appearances, toward what can be seen, measured, admired, and approved by others. We are encouraged to build lives that look impressive from the outside: a respectable career, a beautiful home, social recognition, financial stability, curated achievements, and carefully constructed identities. And yet, despite attaining many of these outward markers, countless people still experience an inner sense of emptiness. This paradox reveals a spiritual truth that often goes unnoticed. A life can look perfect and still feel profoundly disconnected from peace, joy, and meaning. One can smile in photographs and feel lost in private moments. One can achieve milestones and still feel as though something essential is missing. That something is not found in appearances. It is found within. From a spiritual perspective, the purpose of life is not merely to construct an impressive external narrative, but to cultivate an inner experience that is aligned with truth, authenticity, and presence. A life that feels good on the inside is one in which our actions, thoughts, and values are harmonized with the deeper essence of who we are. The challenge is that society often teaches us to prioritize the external over the internal. From a young age, we are subtly conditioned to seek validation through achievement. We learn that approval comes from meeting certain expectations, performing well academically, choosing socially acceptable career paths, presenting ourselves in ways that are pleasing to others. Over time, this conditioning shapes our decisions. We begin to ask not what feels true to me, but rather what will be admired, what will be approved, what will make me appear successful. This shift in focus can lead us to build lives that are structured around appearances rather than authenticity. We may pursue careers that offer prestige but leave us feeling uninspired. We may maintain relationships that look stable but lack emotional depth. We may fill our schedules with activities that seem productive but drain our energy. All the while, the inner voice that longs for meaning grows quieter, overshadowed by the demands of maintaining an image. Spiritually speaking, this disconnection from our inner truth creates tension. The soul thrives on authenticity. It flourishes when we live in alignment with our values and deepest aspirations. When our external life diverges from our internal reality, we experience discomfort. This discomfort may manifest as stress, anxiety, dissatisfaction, or a persistent sense of restlessness. It is as though we are playing a role in a performance that never truly ends. Creating a life that feels good on the inside requires us to step off that stage and reconnect with our inner experience. It invites us to ask different questions, questions that are not concerned with how things appear, but with how they feel. Does this path bring me peace? Does this decision align with my values? Does this environment support my growth? These questions shift our attention from external approval to internal resonance. This is not to say that external success is inherently negative. There is nothing wrong with achieving goals, building a career, or enjoying material comforts. The issue arises when these become substitutes for inner fulfillment, when we rely on them to provide a sense of worth or identity. True fulfillment does not come from accumulating accolades or possessions. It comes from cultivating a relationship with ourselves that is grounded in awareness and acceptance. One of the first steps in this process is learning to listen. In the midst of constant stimulation, notifications, obligations, expectations, it can be difficult to hear the quiet signals of our inner world. We may not even realize when we are tired, overwhelmed, or disconnected, because we have become accustomed to ignoring those sensations in favor of productivity. Spiritual practice often begins with stillness for this very reason. When we allow ourselves to pause, to sit quietly, to breathe, to observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment, we create space for clarity to emerge. We begin to notice what genuinely nourishes us and what depletes us. We become aware of the difference between actions that are motivated by fear and those that are inspired by love. This awareness is transformative. It enables us to make choices that support our well-being rather than undermine it. We may choose to simplify our schedules, prioritize meaningful relationships, or pursue activities that bring us joy even if they are not socially impressive. Over time, these choices contribute to an inner sense of coherence. Our lives begin to feel less fragmented and more integrated. Another important aspect of creating an inwardly fulfilling life is self-compassion. Many of us are harsh critics of ourselves. We measure our worth against unrealistic standards and become discouraged when we fall short. This inner criticism can erode our sense of peace, making it difficult to appreciate our efforts or acknowledge our progress. Spiritually, self-compassion is an act of alignment. It recognizes that we are human, capable of growth but also prone to mistakes. When we respond to ourselves with kindness rather than judgment, we create an inner environment that supports healing and development. This kindness is not indulgence, it is understanding. It allows us to learn from our experiences without becoming trapped in shame or regret. It encourages us to move forward with resilience rather than fear. Gratitude also plays a significant role in shaping our inner experience. When we focus solely on what we lack, our lives can feel perpetually insufficient even when they appear abundant from the outside. By intentionally acknowledging what is already present, supportive friendships, moments of beauty, opportunities for growth, we shift our perspective. Gratitude does not eliminate challenges, but it changes our relationship with them. It reminds us that fulfillment is not contingent on perfection. It exists in the midst of imperfection. Perhaps most importantly, creating a life that feels good on the inside involves aligning our actions with our values. Values are the guiding principles that give our lives meaning. They reflect what matters most to us, whether it is creativity, compassion, integrity, connection, or service. When our daily actions reflect these principles, we experience a sense of purpose. Even small acts can contribute to this alignment. Offering help to someone in need, dedicating time to a creative passion, or simply being present with a loved one can reinforce our commitment to what we hold dear. These actions may not be visible to the world at large, but they enrich our inner experience. In contrast, when we consistently act in ways that contradict our values, perhaps to gain approval or avoid conflict, we create inner discord. This discord can diminish our sense of authenticity, leaving us feeling disconnected from ourselves. Living authentically requires courage. It may involve setting boundaries, making unconventional choices, or letting go of expectations that no longer serve us. It may mean redefining success in terms that are meaningful to us rather than socially prescribed. This redefinition is a deeply spiritual act. It acknowledges that fulfillment cannot be imposed from the outside. It must be cultivated from within. As we begin to prioritize our inner experience, we may notice subtle changes. Our relationships become more genuine because they are no longer based on pretense. Our work becomes more satisfying because it aligns with our interests and values. Our sense of self becomes more stable because it is rooted in authenticity rather than approval. We may also find that our outward life naturally evolves. When we are guided by inner clarity, our external choices tend to reflect it. The life that feels good on the inside often comes to look good on the outside, not because it conforms to societal standards, but because it radiates coherence and purpose. Ultimately, spirituality invites us to remember that our worth is not determined by appearances. It is inherent. Creating a life that feels good on the inside is an ongoing process, one that requires awareness, compassion, and intentionality. It involves paying attention to our inner world and making choices that support our well-being. It is not about perfection. It is about alignment. And in that alignment, we discover a fulfillment that cannot be captured in images or accolades. A quiet, enduring sense of peace that arises from living in harmony with who we truly are.